You are seeing this because it is finally your moment to succeed. This is not accidental. Carl observed that before a major breakthrough, the psyche sends out clear signals. Most people fail to notice them. They remain trapped in repeated patterns of loss, questioning why success never arrives. But you chose to watch this video. That indicates your unconscious mind is prepared. Carl referred to these moments as synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that may seem random, but are not. They reflect the universe aligning itself with your readiness to grow. And right now, at this precise point in time, you are standing at the threshold between who you have been and who you are about to become. What frightens most people about winning is not failure, it is success. Carl identified something he called the golden shadow. Just as we suppress our darker traits, we also suppress our strengths. We conceal our abilities, our intelligence, and our power. Why does this happen? Because success brings responsibility. Once you step into your full potential, excuses disappear. You can no longer blame circumstances or see yourself as a victim. You become responsible for the life you shape. For many, that responsibility is more frightening than remaining limited. Before going further, it is important to understand why you have been losing. It is not due to bad luck. It is not the universe working against you. You have become attached to losing because it feels familiar. Your nervous system understands defeat. It has repeated that pattern for years, possibly for most of your life. Winning feels unsafe because it is unfamiliar. The brain treats the unknown as a threat, so it intervenes just before a breakthrough. It pulls you back into a cycle you recognize, even when that cycle is harmful. Carl spent many years examining this behavior. He observed people nearing major successes only to collapse at the final stage. They would receive a job opportunity and fail to show up. They would meet an ideal partner and then push them away. They would build a business and walk away just before it succeeded. He concluded this was not a lack of strength. It was the psyche attempting to protect itself from the fear of deep change. Transformation involves a form of death, not physical, but psychological. It is the end of an old identity, the end of the version of you that understands how to lose, but has never learned how to win. At this moment, your psyche is preparing for that shift. There are clear indicators that reveal when this change is approaching. Carl identified the first sign as enantiodromia. This occurs when life swings from one extreme to the opposite. It is when circumstances feel darkest just before clarity appears, when you reach what feels like the lowest point right before progress begins. Many people interpret this darkness as proof of failure and stop just before transformation occurs. But Carl viewed this phase differently. He believed it signaled the psyche releasing outdated patterns to create space for new ones. The pressure you are experiencing is not life breaking you down. It is life positioning you for growth. The second sign is a sudden disinterest in old habits and connections. What once brought comfort now feels hollow. People you once tolerated may now feel difficult to be around. Carl described this as the psyche withdrawing energy from what no longer supports development. Your unconscious mind has already begun moving toward what comes next, even if your conscious awareness has not yet aligned. As a result, you may feel detached, uneasy, or as though you are waiting for something you cannot clearly define. This state is not depression, it is a sign of readiness. The third sign is what Carl described as the pressure cooker sensation. You feel something building inside you, an energy, a sense of urgency, an inner certainty that change is approaching. You cannot explain it logically, you experience it physically. Your sleep patterns shift, your appetite changes, and you feel restless yet energized at the same time. This is your psyche creating the psychological pressure required to move to the next stage. Most people attempt to suppress this feeling through distractions, addictions, or constant busyness. That response only postpones what is unavoidable. The pressure continues to increase until you permit the transformation to occur. This is where the process becomes risky. When success is close, self-sabotage tends to appear most strongly. Carl documented this pattern across hundreds of cases. Just before major breakthroughs, patients would unconsciously undermine their own progress. They would argue with therapists, skip critical sessions, or create personal crises that disrupted their healing. Carl understood that this was not resistance to therapy itself. It was resistance to individuation, resistance to fully becoming oneself. Becoming your full self involves power, and power removes the ability to hide behind excuses. Reflect on the last time you were close to achieving something important. What occurred then? Did you delay action at a key moment? Did you create conflict with someone who could have supported you? Did you suddenly feel sick or completely drained? These are not coincidences. They are your psyche attempting to shield you from the fear of success, because success requires maintaining a higher level of functioning. It demands that you live up to your potential and take responsibility for your own power. For many people, that feels more threatening than remaining stuck. Here is a reality that is rarely stated clearly. Winning is not about luck, timing, or waiting for ideal circumstances. Winning is about allowance. It is about ending resistance to your own development. Carl found that people do not fail due to a lack of ability. They fail because they cannot endure the psychological weight of success. They struggle with being visible, with having power, and with accepting the responsibility that success brings. As a result, they sabotage themselves. They recreate familiar patterns of loss and reinforce an identity as the struggler, the victim, the person who almost succeeds but never fully does. This identity feels secure. It feels familiar, it feels like home, even when that home is collapsing around them, even when remaining there destroys everything they say they want. Empaths are not broken, they are alchemists in motion. The alchemist's path provides practical drills, grounded boundaries, and 3 exclusive chapter videos to help transform overwhelm into clarity by Surreal Mind. A 236-page downloadable ebook is currently available. Begin now at surrealmind.com. Right now, you are being asked to burn that home down yourself, to step out of the identity of the loser and into the identity of the winner. This is frightening because the winner identity has no script. You do not yet know how to be that person. You have not rehearsed that pattern. Your nervous system does not recognize that frequency, so it feels unsafe, wrong, and as if you are pretending to be someone you are not. But here is what Carl understood that changes everything. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming who you truly are beneath all the conditioning, trauma, and fear. The winner is your authentic self, times 0, 6. The loser is the mask you wore to survive a world that punished your light. You learned to play small because playing big caused pain. You learned to fail because success made others uncomfortable. You learned to sabotage yourself because your growth threatened the people around you. Carl called this collective unconscious pressure. When you begin to evolve beyond your family system, your social circle, or your culture, the collective unconscious pushes back. It attempts to pull you into familiar patterns. It uses shame, guilt, fear, and doubt to keep you in place. Because when one person breaks free, it unsettles everyone else who remains stuck. Your freedom becomes a mirror reflecting their own confinement. And most people would rather attack the mirror than question their imprisonment. This is why winning feels lonely at first. When you step into your power, you step out of the collective agreement to remain small. People who were comfortable with the losing version of you become uneasy with the winning version. They preferred you when you needed them, when you struggled as they struggle, when you reinforced their belief that success is unattainable. Your success challenges that belief, so they withdraw their support, their connection, and their approval. And that withdrawal feels like punishment, but Carl understood this in a different way. He viewed this withdrawal as proof that you are moving in the right direction. When you individuate, when you step fully into who you truly are, you will lose people. You have to lose people because those connections were formed around your false self, your limited self, your losing self. They cannot endure your evolution into your winning self, and this is not a tragedy, it is freedom. This is the core of everything Carl uncovered about winning. You do not need to become someone else. You need to stop acting like someone you are not. The winner already exists within you. It has always been there. You have simply been concealing it, repressing it, denying it, because the world taught you that your strength was dangerous, that your success would unsettle others, that your light would disturb those who prefer darkness. So you dimmed yourself. You made yourself smaller, quieter, less intimidating. You learned how to lose politely because winning did not feel safe. And now, after years or even decades of repeating this pattern, your psyche has reached its limit. It is ready to stop pretending. It is ready to allow you to win, but you must choose it. You must deliberately decide to stop seeing yourself as the victim, the struggler, the one who almost succeeds but never quite does. You must claim the identity of the winner, even if it feels unfamiliar, uncomfortable, or wrong. This is the psychological shift that transforms everything. When you stop waiting for permission to win, when you stop needing perfect circumstances, when you stop demanding approval from everyone around you, when you simply decide that you are finished with losing and prepared to win, reality reorganizes itself around that choice. Not through magic, but through psychology. When you embody the winner frequency, you make different decisions. You notice different opportunities. You take different actions, and those actions lead to different outcomes. Carl referred to this as the individuation process. It is the movement from unconscious living to conscious choice, from reactive survival to creative authority, from being controlled by life to directing life intentionally. This process requires specific psychological steps. First, you must become aware of your attachment to losing. You must recognize how you have been unconsciously producing failure to preserve a familiar identity. You must catch yourself in moments of self-sabotage, watch yourself delay action, notice yourself starting conflicts. Observe how you create chaos just before a breakthrough. Do not criticize these patterns, simply observe them clearly. Second, you must integrate your golden shadow. You must reclaim the strength, capability, and brilliance you have been hiding. This means accepting that you are capable of far more than you have allowed yourself to achieve. It means acknowledging that you have been playing small, not due to a lack of talent, but because you fear responsibility. It means admitting that you are, in fact, exceptional, but have been acting ordinary to avoid unsettling others. Third, you must grieve the losing identity. You must allow it to end, not through force and not with guilt, but with understanding. That identity once had a purpose. It kept you secure when survival depended on it. It guarded you when you were too young or too hurt to defend yourself. But its role is over. Now it functions as a cage, and you have to step out of that cage, even if it feels familiar. Even if leaving feels like death, because in a sense it is, the ending of who you were so that you can step into who you truly are. Fourth, you must adopt the identity of a winner before there is proof. This is the most difficult stage. You have to begin living as a winner before you see external results. You must align with that state before the world mirrors it back to you. This can feel dishonest. It can feel like acting or pretending. It can feel as though you are an imposter. But Carl understood that every real transformation passes through this uneasy transition phase. You cannot wait to feel like a winner before behaving like one. You behave like one until that identity becomes real. This means making decisions from a winning mindset even when your situation clearly suggests otherwise. It means showing confidence even while fear is present. It means speaking honestly even when your voice is unsteady. It means taking steps forward without any guarantee of success. Winners do not wait for certainty. They generate certainty through decisive action. They choose their direction and move toward it despite fear, doubt, or the need for external approval. Fifth, you must shield your transformation from collective unconscious pressure. When you begin to succeed, others will attempt to pull you back. They will question your decisions. They will remind you of past failures. They will predict that you will fall again. Often, they will disguise this as concern in order to restore your old losing identity. You must recognize this for what it truly is: not care, not protection, but shared fear. The group mind resists your growth because your success challenges their justifications for staying the same. Carl taught his patients to expect this resistance and to prepare themselves for it. He emphasized that true individuation demands psychological independence. You must trust your inner guidance more than outside opinions. You must place your development above other people's comfort. You must choose growth even when it costs you relationships, approval, or a sense of belonging. The alternative is remaining small forever to keep others at ease. That is not love. That is abandoning yourself. Sixth, you must learn how to handle success without undermining it. This is where most people struggle. They finally break through. They finally begin to win. Then their nervous system reacts with panic because success feels unfamiliar and unsafe. As a result, they unconsciously ruin what they have created. They start conflicts. They make poor choices. They create problems that pull them back into familiar patterns of loss. Carl referred to this as the regression reflex, the mind's attempt to return to known ground when new ground feels threatening. To move beyond this response, you must train your nervous system to experience success as safe. This is done through repetition and deliberate, conscious decisions. Every time you notice the impulse to self-sabotage, you pause. You breathe. You remind yourself that the discomfort you feel is not a threat. It is simply unfamiliar territory. It is your system recalibrating to a different frequency. You do not have to act on the impulse. You only need to allow it to move through you while you continue progressing forward. With time, winning becomes as familiar as losing once was. Your nervous system stops pushing against it, and you are finally able to sustain the success you build. Seventh, you must recognize that winning is not an endpoint. It is a daily practice. You do not win one time and then stop. You win every day through intentional choices that align with your highest self. Some days this feels effortless. Other days it feels nearly impossible. Still, you choose it regardless of how you feel, because feelings are not facts. They are simply nervous system reactions to stimuli, and you are learning to operate from awareness rather than conditioning, from intention rather than impulse, from power rather than programming. Carl believed that those who complete this process successfully become what he described as individuated. They are no longer governed by collective unconscious patterns. They are no longer bound by conditioning and fear. They become conscious creators of their reality. They win not due to luck, but because they are psychologically aligned with winning. They embody the frequency they wish to experience, and reality inevitably mirrors that frequency back to them. This is your moment to win, not because the universe suddenly chose to favor you, but because you are finally prepared to allow yourself to win. You are finished with the identity of losing. You are willing to step into your power, even though it feels frightening. You are ready to take responsibility for your potential instead of hiding behind excuses, and that readiness is everything. The signs are already present in your life: the pressure, the restlessness, the dissatisfaction with what once felt sufficient, the sense that something is on the verge of changing. These are not coincidences. This is your psyche preparing for transformation. Your unconscious mind is ready. The only question is whether your conscious mind will cooperate or resist. Will you allow the shift, or will you fight it? Will you claim the identity of a winner, or hold on to the identity of a loser? Here is what you need to do right now. First, acknowledge that you have been choosing to lose, not deliberately, but unconsciously, through self-sabotage, delay, and settling. Observe this pattern without judgment. Simply recognize that it exists. Second, decide that you are finished with it. Make a conscious decision that losing is no longer acceptable, that you will no longer sacrifice your potential in exchange for comfort. Third, identify one action you can take today that aligns with the winner identity, not tomorrow, not when you feel prepared. Today, now, while the energy of this realization is still active within you. Fourth, anticipate resistance from yourself, from others, and from life itself. When resistance appears, do not see it as proof that you are failing. See it as confirmation that you are changing. The greater the resistance, the greater the breakthrough on the other side. Fifth, surround yourself with people who can witness your transformation without attempting to stop it. You cannot do this alone. You need allies who understand individuation, who have walked this path themselves, and who can hold space for your growth without trying to control it. Sixth, make a daily commitment to choose actions from your highest self rather than your conditioned self. Each morning, ask yourself what the strongest, winning version of you would choose to do today, and then do it. Do it even when it feels uncomfortable. Do it even when it feels artificial, and especially when it feels artificial, because that is how the bridge is built between who you were and who you are becoming. You act as if until it becomes real. This is your moment to win, not because luck changed, but because you are finally willing to let yourself win. The universe has been waiting for this level of readiness. Your unconscious has been preparing you for this point. Everything that led you to this video, everything that made you click, and everything that kept you watching until now was synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. the universe aligning itself with your growth. Now you understand what that truly means. You can see the psychological truth behind the mystery. You are standing at a threshold between your old life and your new one, between a losing identity and a winning identity, between unconscious living and conscious creation. The decision is yours. You can close this video and return to familiar habits. You can pretend you never heard this message. You can tell yourself it does not apply to you, or you can step forward. You can claim your power. You can become who you truly are. Carl dedicated his life to showing people this path, not to make them comfortable, but because he understood that human consciousness is meant to evolve, and that evolution happens one individual at a time. Every person who completes their individuation process makes it easier for others to do the same. Your transformation is not only personal, it is collective. When you stop losing and start winning, you shift the field of possibility for everyone around you. You become living evidence that change is possible, so this is your time to win, not because you are more deserving than anyone else, but because you are finally willing to claim it. You are ready to stop dimming your light to keep others comfortable. You are finished sacrificing your potential for the sake of belonging. You are choosing growth over excuses, and that single choice changes everything. If you are ready to fully step into this winning timeline, subscribe to this channel. We are going deeper into Carl's work on psychological transformation. We explore the shadow, the archetypes, and the unconscious patterns that control most people, and we learn how to break free, how to individuate, and how to become fully yourself in a world that demands conformity. Welcome to your new timeline. This is where everything shifts. This is where you stop losing and start becoming who you were always meant to be. In The Alchemist's Path, perception training for empaths, you will transform overwhelm into wisdom through practical exercises, Carl inspired boundaries, and structured perception training. This guide includes 3 exclusive chapter videos to deepen each lesson, written by Surreal Mind, 236 pages, beautifully designed in an 8, 5x11 downloadable ebook available now.